Sri Caitanya Bhagavata, Antyakanda Part 2, Chapter 8. We're discussing the Puri Leela, Jagannath Puri Leela of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and his eternal associates. They're the fortunate ones that are in Puri right now, this Leela, because this is describing Chaturmasya, the beginning of Chaturmasya in Puri, which is in July. It's very, very warm. And the devotees have gathered around Lord Chaitanya to celebrate his Sangha and the Utsavas of Jagannath, the festivals of Jagannath, Chandanyatra and Nokabihar, Jalkeli, Rathyatra, Bojan Leela, Banbihar, and so many wonderful pastimes with the Lord and his ecstasies, Gambhira Leela in the Puri Dham. And now we've heard the bulk of devotees have arrived on the outskirts of Puri. This is chapter 8, text 47. Kama Purite Dvaja Prasaradekhiya Parilena Kandi Sabe Danda Bhakta Haya Prabhuva Janiya Bhakta Goshtira Vijay Agu Badi Bhare Chitta Kailit Shamai Advaitera Pratyati Priti Yukta Haya Agre Mahaprasada Dilena Pataya Heyadbhuta Priti Seta Hara Nahiyanta Prasada Patiye Janre Hataka Parayanta. The devotees arrived at a village a short distance from the Ataranala bridge outside of Jagannath Puri, at the village of Kamalapura. And they saw a flag on top of Jagannath's temple, and they all offered obeisances and began to cry. So the Jagannath Mandir Dwaj, the flag above the mandir, became an udipan, an excitant or stimulant to arouse their attachment and love for Lord Jagannath, and also the remembrance of the Lord and his pastimes. Just seeing one part of the Lord can remind you of the whole part of the Lord. You may see one sock left in a room somewhere by your son when he's playing here and there. And he was playing in the morning and he threw off one sock in the corner of a room, and he went to school all day. And when you were cleaning the house, you found that sock, and then you sat down and lost yourself in a reverie. Thinking, oh, that sock, my son, his foot, his body, his smile, his everything. So just one article, one item connected to the object of love can unleash unlimited thoughts and feelings of intense loving attachment and remembrance of one's dearly beloved. Even in the material world, what to speak of the spiritual relationship of the lovers of God with their beloved Lord. In this case, Jagannath Swami and all of the bhaktas coming from Bengal, the Gaudiya bhaktas, they saw the flag, they said, we're almost here. We've been walking for a month. Soon we'll see the smiling face and beautiful lotus eyes blooming with ecstasy of Jagannath. Chakudal. His eyes are like wheels. There's like big wheels, they're so big. Everyone had the fortune of taking some Mahaprasadam yesterday. Jagannath's Mahaprasadam came and we had a feast. There was a few pieces and they went very fast. And some were exported to distant lands also. So now the independent Lord, he understood that the devotees had arrived and he desired to go meet and greet them. So what does this mean? It means that the devotees saw the flag above the temple. It became an udipan, or a stimulant, a vibhav, udipan, and it stimulated their permanent loving mood towards the Lord, their stahibhav. Then they expressed different anubhavas, like crying, or running, or shouting. And when we think of the Lord, he thinks of me. Etam mam prapadyante. As you surrender unto me, I surrender unto you. You think of me, I think of you. This is in the spiritual dynamic relationship of the Jiva and Bhagavan. In this material world, a man may be thinking of a woman, and she may not be thinking of him, or vice versa. And sometimes they may be both thinking of each other simultaneously, but rarely. But sometimes, maybe in the beginning, when their poor Virag is there, falling in love. Oh, I'm always thinking of you. And once the man is married and working, then the wife calls up and says, are you thinking of me? He said, frankly, no. Frankly, not at all. And he's been away for 1 week on business. Have you thought of me at all? To be honest, not at all. Because he's busy and preoccupied, and maybe he has some other interests when he's traveling that may come his way. And the wife may be dutifully and peacefully home and maybe preoccupied with thoughts of him. But Krishna and his beloved devotees are on a transcendental plane, because ultimately there's only one consciousness and one heart and one mind, and that's the mind, heart, and consciousness of God. Nityo nityananam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam yogadadabdikamam. That eka, one, is from fulfilling the desires of the many since time immemorial. As it says in Isa Upanishad, the definition of Bhagavan says he's the this one line always captured my attention from 1974 when I read this book first time. The self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial. Because we were always interested in philosophy. And this is one line from Isa Upanishad. I can't remember much more about anything, but it's a whole book about Isa Upanishad. It's Upanishadic wisdom, which means it's the upasan, that when one receives his Shabda, Brahman, in his ears, that moves his heart near the Lord, near the Ishta of his cherished ambition. And that's called Anisad, which means asana, Upanishad. So the ish, to move oneself near the seat or near the position or place of the Lord, this is the teaching of Isa Upanishad. And very nice, the self-sufficient philosopher. So what does this mean? It means that the one is fulfilling the desires of the many. So we are one being, and we have so many desires. Our eyes have desire, our hands have desire, our ears have desire, all of our working senses have desire behind them. And who is fulfilling those desires? Me. So in one sense, I am a God in the universe of my body. I, the Atma, am fulfilling the desires of my various senses. My senses are pushing and demanding, and it's called vegams, vacho vegam, manasakota vegam. Pushings and desirings and hankerings and wants. My eyes want to see something, so I allow them. My ears want to see something, so I allow my ears. I facilitate the desires of my eyes and ears. So I am the God of my body. So we can see that as all these senses are part of me, and they are also me, but I am the one that's fulfilling their desires. Similarly, we conscious particles, we individual sparks of consciousness, nityo nityananam, chaitanas chaitananam, we're eternal sparks of consciousness. We are part and parcels of God's body. And whatever desires we have, He's fulfilling. Just as we, the Atma, are fulfilling all the desires of this body. So therefore we are actually, that's why it says, you are God, I am God. But we are part of God, one in quality but not in quantity. So therefore, only in a spiritual world when God is thinking of the living entity, or the living entity is thinking of God, automatically and simultaneously God is thinking of the devotee. This is what's being told here. The independent Lord, it says the Prabhu Janiya Bhakta Goshtir Vijay. Because it says, as I mentioned here, when the devotees saw the flag, they offered obeisances and began to cry. So the obeisances and crying, these are called anubhavs. They follow. The crying, of course, may be an acceleration of an anubhav to the point of a sattvic bhav, where the Grodana crying, Ashur, if it reached that high. But they simply saw the flag. There are so many flags. Every palace has a flag, every small temple may have a flag, every every peepal tree where some sadhu lives under it, he puts a flag up in the branches somewhere. If you've ever seen a banyan tree somewhere in Haridwar, Rishikesh, they'll stick a flag there. So many times whenever sadhus take over some little area and establish their kutia, they immediately hoist a flag somewhere. The red flag of Durga, or the yellow flag of Ram, or some, because the Surya Vansh. They usually do this, you must have seen. But they didn't respond. When they saw this flag, this is the flag of my beloved's house. This is the mandir, the house of the Lord, and it's his flag. So these are the Anubhavs, they're crying. So now in the next verse it says that Prabhu Janya Bhakta Goshtir Vijay, that Prabhu Gauranga, he understood the Goshti Vijay, the shouts of victory. Goshti means sounds, like we say Goshta Raja, the Goshta. Goshti Anandi. Goshti Anandi means to vibrate sounds, or to expand the glories of the Lord. He understood their shouts of victory, that their victorious arrival is now understood by their shouts, although they were 6 or 7 kilometers away at this point. And then immediately he decided, Ichamaya, by his desire, his Ichamaya, his desire to meet them arose. There's a phenomenon in this world, it's described in Puranas, that if someone knows someone, quite well, some heartily connected to someone, wife or even close friend, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or like friend or beloved, if they sit down and they deeply think about them, really deeply think about them, they can occasionally, oftentimes they just keep concentrating and thinking, I want to talk to this person, I want to talk to this person, I want to talk to this person. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the phone will ring. And you'll say, hello, and it'll be that person. Because our mind, occasionally in the mind's, the telepathy and the attractive power can be created by one's thoughts, by that's called his Ichamaya, his desire to connect with someone. This is told, I've read it. And usually it actually, it especially works with couples, men and women. It was explaining like that. So here it says that he desired, because he understood their hearts, is what I'm saying, because the devotees are part and parcel of Krishna. They're the very heart of Krishna. So Prabhu Gauranga, he knew all my bhaktas have come. They've come to see me. They've come to serve me. They've come to love me. And of course Jagannath. And they're crying. And they're crying and they're eager to see me. And now they're here, I'm eager to meet them. So now he's going down, or at least he's going to arrange somehow to meet them. Advaitara pratiyati priti yukta. I read that actually already. Out of affection for Advaita Acharya, the Lord sent Mahaprasadam to him. So firstly he arranged through some servants to immediately send Jagannath Mahaprasad to Advaita Acharya, the senior most respected leader of the Harinam Sankirtan movement. He's so much intimately connected with Gauranga. Advaita Acharya is like his father in one sense, because the father begets the son. By the father's desire and the father's activity, then a son is produced. If that's his sukriti, then of a son and a child. So Advaita Acharya was of course worshipping Shalagram and praying for not exactly a son, well yes, the son of God, or God to come and liberate the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. So in answering Lord Advaita Acharya's prayers and puja, his actions and his desire, then Gauranga appeared as a manifestation of that desire to save Patita Pavana Avatar Gauranga Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. So then, showing respect to his senior, almost like a fatherly figure, and he has that kind of mood toward Lord Chaitanya. Because we can remember that Advaita Acharya is about 90 years older than Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was 24, Advaita was 110. That's why he's depicted oftentimes with a great beard. Not that it was great, but he had a great beard. Because he was old, at least by material calculation. And that's why it's when we hear about the kirtan parties in Shiva Sangam, he was saying, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And he'd be slowly, but not so slowly, moving behind Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, trying to catch up with their exuberant, euphoric dancing in the Harinam Sankirtan and the Rasa Sankirtan in the late nights of the Rahasya Kirtan and Shiva Sangam. You can just see the elderly Advaita Acharya, who was sometimes made fun of with Nityananda. He would enjoy playing with him. He would actually play because he's a playful Lord Balaram. He's always perennial coward Bhav and Sakya Bhav. So he would play with the old man, as they say, not disrespectfully, but because you have to think that what does a 10-year-old think of an 80-year-old grandfather? Well, he's my grandfather. He plays. He plays with him, and the grandfather likes to play too much with the grandson. He may make fun of the grandfather, or pull on his beard, or run behind him, or this or that. So Nityananda was sometimes criticizing Advaita Acharya and mocking him, or playing with him, or even throwing things at him. But Advaita Acharya didn't mind because there's so much bondage of love, and of course there are the teen Prabhus, Advaita, Nitai, and Gaur. Gaur, Nitai, and Advaita, Nimai, saying, Nimai, Advaita, Nimai, Nitai, and Advaita, the teen Prabhus, worshipful lords of this world, the former devotees, but amongst themselves they have different intimate relationships. There's no end to the Lord's love and affection for Advaita Acharya. Adbhuta Priti, of course they didn't choose to translate that word. Adbhuta Priti. It's not just Priti or love, but it's Adbhuta, it's amazing. It's amazing love. The love of Gauranga and Advaita, who can understand? It's the epitome of the love between the jivas and Krishna. Because Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu, and he's the very source of all the tatastha jivas, the nityabhata jivas, weak conditioned souls in this material world, are sparks of the emanation of the consciousness, or particles of the consciousness of Mahavishnu. And we have our plane of activity here in this material world, this Vairanga Shakti, and we don't have to stay here forever. We can leave this plane and cross the marginal plane of Brahman and go into the internal region, Antaranga Shakti, and Surab Siddhi and perfection. So that's it. Just like there's nothing more a father likes to see than that his son graduates from college, gets a good job, and settles happily. There's nothing more Mahavishnu wants to see than all his parts and parcels that are suffering in this material world by their own choice. They glance towards the beauty and shobha of Radha and Krishna and go right on by the Tatastha region into the internal realm of the spiritual world. Punarjanma navidyate, never to take birth again. So they have a very amazing loving relationship, Bhagavan and Mahavishnu. It's Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna has come all the way down from Goloka Vrindavan to this material creation of Mahavishnu to liberate all the conditioned souls here and bring them to his innermost, topmost domain of Brajadam. It's incredible mercy. So this is definitely, because when there's extraordinary love, there's extraordinary activities, extraordinary surrender and dedication and self-sacrificing of the beloved for the beloved, lover for the beloved. The depth of love is measured by the extent and degree of surrender and dedication. The greater the love, the greater the surrender to the beloved, the dedication, absorption, and service. So how much, that's why it's a Buddha Priti. It's not ordinary Priti or love of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Advaita Prabhu, or Sri Advaita, but it's something amazing, something extraordinary. The depth of their love is incomprehensible and inconceivable. Therefore, because Advaita Acharya's love is so great for the parts and parcels of the Lord, is ultimately only one, God is one. Like Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, even Radha and Krishna combined, they are attracted by the unique quality of Mahavishnu's love. And they come up all the way down and take on a special form of Gauranga Mahaprabhu just to reciprocate with the Adbhuta Priti of Advaita Acharya. That says a lot. So that one phrase, Ki Adbhuta Priti Nahi Anta. There's no end to that love. It's such an amazing love that you can't find any end to the depth, the limits of the expression of that love, the depths of that affection. Prasad, and then it says, the Lord sent prasadam all the way to Katak for him. So previously they arrived, first you arrive when you come into Puri, you come to Ekamra, you come into Rissa, you come to different villages of some significance, but as you get closer to Puri and Orissa, then there's Ekamra Stan, which is a place of 1,000,000 Shiva temples, and so many forests there originally, so many tigers. And the principal temple there today is called Lingaraj Mahadev Shiva Temple in Bhubaneswar. Bhubaneswar is a small area of the city. The Ishvara, the Bhuban, the Bhubaneswara. So that's the name for Lord Shiva. And he's the Lord of the Bhu means this earth planet. He's the Lord of Pashupatinath, you must have heard this term, Pashupatinath. Lord of animals and other such beings is Lord Shiva. So he's worshipped there. And after that, after Bhubaneswar, the next big place you come to is Katak. Katak was the capital of Orissa. And then later it was shifted to, recent times it was shifted to Bhubaneswar. It's a very large palace of the king of Puri situated in Katak, it used to be. Then he had his summer house on the beach near Jagannath. And he would come down and spend a few weeks with the Lord during the Rath Yatra time. The Rath Yatra festival and then the Ulta Rath. When it returned Rath Yatra 9 days later, spend a refreshing 10 days on the seashore with Jagannath. So when they arrived at Katak sometime before this time, then again he sent prasadam especially for Advaita, all the way to Katak. So that's what I said, when there's extraordinary love, there's extraordinary activities performed for the pleasure of the beloved. And people see that even in this world, in material loving relationships. Oh, you do this for her or this for him? How could you do that? This is love. Someone may do something extraordinary for their husband or wife, seemingly way above and beyond the call of duty or requirement or expectation. But that's the way the movements of love are unpredictable and incalculable and immeasurable. No one can calculate the movements of love or measure or predict. Just like no one can calculate the movements of a snake moving on the ground. If you've ever seen one, we hear these analogies and they may not mean much when we live in box cars and box houses and box planes and box offices. We live in a box, and if you're a Christian, you die in a box also. You're born in a box hospital, maybe even go in an incubator box. Then you come home in a box ambulance, then you go in a box room, then go to a box school, and go to a box house, and then you fly in a box airplane and drive in a box car. Then they put you in a coffin, which is another box, and bury you in the ground from box to box. And they all have their own locks, which prevent you from getting out. But this situation here, yeah, the movements of a snake. If you live in a village, then you'll see the movements of a snake. I can remember many rainy seasons, they come out of their houses because of flood conditions. Their housing is flooded, so they get some notice and the SMS that the floodwaters are rising, they should vacate their houses. So they go to a high ground and they come into the village from the fields and go into people's houses to save themselves, preserve. I've seen them running around the yard and are choking or chasing cobras. Quite an interesting thing to watch from a safe distance. And he's going this way, and then all of a sudden they go this way, and then they don't know which way. I said, "Hurry, let's go near it." And then he can turn around back the same way he's coming, and then if he gets in the corner, he goes like this. And you have to be a little bit, have some cool nerves to deal with that. Apparently, these people do. Keshe kind of seems to know their tricks, and really likes the challenge. He finds a way to escort them on to their next destination, so to speak, which may take different shapes, different times. So this is the movements of a snake are unpredictable, and the movements of love are unpredictable. So now we hear more of this idea. Shaine achilan kira sagar bitare, Nidra Banga Haila Mora Nadhara Omkare. I was lying in the ocean of milk, but the loud calling of Nada broke my sleep. So Nada, it's written Nada, but it's actually pronounced in Bengali Nara. Nara means living entity, and Ayan means resting place. Ayan means A-Y-A-N-A. Ayan means resting place, or the abode of, the source of, or it means to sleep. Narayan is where all, Narayan, Vishnu, Narayan is where all the living entities are sleeping. Or Narayan is that Lord who is resting or sleeping in the milk ocean. So here he's saying, he's taking the angle here that that he's a conditioned soul, he's a Brahman, Advaitacharya, and of course he's not identifying with him, and his own identity is Mahavishnu. But Gauranga in this verse, he's recounting the history of the love relationship, the history of why am I reciprocating so much? Do you want to know why? It all began, this is a flashback. The scene right now is Jagannath Puri, now time. Lord Chaitanya is 26, 28 years old, maybe 30 in this particular Rath Yatra. He lived to be 36 years, no, 48 years, I believe. And he spent 24 years in Puri, so it can be anywhere between 24 and 30 or so. But then he's saying, and Advaita's come, and I'm sending prasad for him. He's nearby, 5 kilometers away, just about to cross the Barginadi River, I believe it's called, on the Ataranala bridge. Ataranala means there's 18 arches, Atara. The old bridge, there's a new bridge right next to it, going into Puri from Bhubaneswar Road. When you cross the Bhubaneswar Road, you can look and see the old bridge. I think some local traffic still crosses over it. Maybe it's not safe, I don't know. New bridges there. So now there's a flashback. Oh, let me take, and then the camera's flashback, and there's Mahavishnu lying there in the milk ocean, Kirasagar. Advaita nimitta mora e avatar e makta mahaprabhu bale parabhar. Shri Advaitacharya is the cause of this incarnation of mine, this descent. I've descended from the spiritual world because of Advaitacharya. Because all the descents of the Lord the lords who come down, enter this universe, the Yuga avatars, and Leela avatars, and even Swami Bhagavan himself, Prakasha avatars, they all come through the doorway or the Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Shrilaksha Vishnu, etc. Eteke Ishvaratulya Jateke Mahanta Advaita Singhara Bhakti Karina Ekanta. Therefore, all exalted devotees who are as good as the Lord offer all respects to Sri Advaita, Advaita Singha, Bhakti Karina Ekanta. Mahanta, so all the Mahants, Ishvara Tulya, they are like the Lord. As the Lord is offering respect to Advaita Acharya, all the devotees also do, the Mahanta Bhaktas. And says Advaita Singha, that lion-like Nrsimha. What do lions do? Lions have a lot of damba, a lot of pride, because the lion is the king of the jungle. And so when you're the king, you usually make a lot of noise. There's big drums to announce your... When you wake up, there's Shanai music playing. And when you go to make some proclamation for the village or the kingdom, there'll be huge timpani drums, huge kettle drums, dundali drums. Will be dragged around on... There's huge drums, big brass drums, and they put on a cart. And they have a horse cart or a bullock cart, and they carry them from village to village within that king's domain, his kingdom. And then his messengers go into the village, dum, 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 boom, 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 make big noise. They say, the king is coming on royal procession tomorrow. Everyone decorate the town for his arrival. Dum, 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 like this. So, big noise. Kings make a big noise when they're coming and going. And so, lion makes big noise. Lion is always roaring to establish, "Ah! I am the king of this jungle. Anyone enters this jungle must fight with me." Like this. So he's Advaita Singha. He was crying so loudly out of pity for the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. And his crying could be heard all the way in Vaikuntha. That he was roaring. It said, we just heard, it says, Nadar Homkara. I was sleeping in the ocean of milk, and all of a sudden I heard an alarm clock. And the alarm clock was Advaita Nada, it's Nadar Homkara. Nadar Homkara. Nidra Bhanga. Nidra Bhanga means he broke my sleep. That means alarm clock. So that's a very interesting alarm clock. Record the roaring of a lion in the African jungle on your cell phone, and set your cell phone at 4 o'clock. Rah! Get up, Anish. So this is the history of the first alarm clock. That's a fact. It's Shastra Praman right there. Nidra Bhanga Nadara Homkar. You want to debate the point? Is God the beginning of everything? Yes. Is he sleeping? Yes. Nidra means sleeping? Yes. Bhanga means breaking? Yes. Nidra Bhanga Homkar, in Bengali Homkar means Jor se bolo, Radhe Radhe. Jor se, very loudly, roaring like a lion, Homkar, ah! Vishnu! You see those movies at Kamsa or something. He stands in his palace and extends his arm. Ah! The whole universe shakes. Sparks come flying out of his fingertips and everything. Acharya he's crying for his own, for self-pity or for personal want or need or due to deficiency? Not at all. He's Atmaram. He's Atmakam. He has no desire to fulfill. He's blissful within himself. There's no duality. He's Advaita. Advaita. There's no duality. There's not happiness and sadness with him. There's not pleasure and pain. He's Advaita. Advaitacharya. He's only experiencing the oneness of Bhagavat Premananda. The oneness of Bhagavat Premananda. His heart is melted with the heart of the Lord. His desire is one with the Lord. Desire. His life is one with the life of the Lord. His actions are one with the actions of the Lord. His movements are one with the movements of the Lord. He's Advaita. He's a teacher of pure devotion. Acharya. All his activities, all his thinking, speaking are transcendental, spiritual, and exemplary. Therefore he's Acharya. Achar. But on behalf of us, out of karuna, compassion, Karuna Sagar, he's an ocean of compassion. Karuna Sagar and Nadara Homkar. Out of his ocean of compassion, he's yelling, God, please come, please, Bhagavan, save them, save them, save them. Bachao, bachao, bachao. We have phrases that the compassionate person, his heart bleeds for the suffering of others. They have this phrase. So there he was, Mahavishnu was sleeping and he woke up, what's happening? And the waiter said, please come. And Mahavishnu was thinking, oh, I can't handle this. Jagai Madhai. These people in Kali Yuga are too much. So then he passed up the emotion to the higher plane of Goloka. And Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself, he came. Mahavishnu could easily flip a chakra. He could just spin off his chakra and knock off the whole material world. But he deferred the request. He deferred the request to a higher form of Bhagavan. And then, because sometimes people go to Mahavishnu and they say, oh, please help us. And he says, I can't help you. And it goes all the way to Krishna. So this is the case. So the devotees are offering all respects to Sri Advaita. And we'll start there tomorrow. We'll continue there tomorrow, verse 54. This whole section is all about the relationship, identity, and love. Loving relationship with Advaitacharya and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And how much that was appreciated by all the devotees of the Lord.